Well, by all intents and purposes, her ticket has been stamped. Lori Vallow heading back to Arizona to face charges of murder for Charles Vallow, her former husband, who died under very mysterious circumstances. Here to discuss this next phase in the crazy world of Lori Vallow Daybell is Dr. John Delatorre. So, is this? I'm trying to imagine what might be going through the mind of Lori Vallow, and I'm really just basing it on the last little bits and pieces that we heard from her, which would have been at the sentencing hearing, where she fully believed her bullshit, just as strong as ever. Going now to Arizona to face these charges. Is this just another stop along the Lori Vallow train where she's going to get off and preach insanity again?
Yeah, I remember I haven't watched it in quite some time, but I do remember when I was watching the statement that she made at her sentencing hearing and just kind of hanging my head like, what are you saying right now? Like, this is not the time for you to be saying what you're saying and about how good of a mother that you were, or like how they're happier now, like how the kids are happy. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not what anybody wants to hear. And so I remember when the verdict was originally read and there was some body, I know you can't see me, but I've got the air quotes going,
Okay.
body language experts and these sort of armchair social media body language experts that said that when she crossed her arms when the verdict was being read, that's the way in which LDS members pray. And that might be true, but the reality is that I have no reason to believe that she's godly in any way.
Hmm.
And so I think she believes herself to be godly.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that she believes that she's a god. I mean that she's a religious individual, that she's God fearing. I think she views herself that way, but I don't believe that she actually is. So I think if we were to go into her cell right now, we would probably observe her praying, and she would be saying that she's praying all the time,
Hmm.
that she's praying for us and that she's praying for Charles and she's praying for the kids and that she's this, that, and the other thing. But I have no reason to believe anything that she's saying. It's just going to be another stop on the crazy train that is Lori Vallow Daybell.
And when we hear, we think of that, we think about walking into someone's cell and they're praying. Oh, this is a religious act. This is something between her and God. But with her, it's more of a delusional act than it is necessarily a religious act. My question, as we look at another potential Lori Vallow Daybell trial, is I don't think she was fit to be in the last one. How on earth is she fit now? And do we need to keep going down these roads with her until we just say, look, she's got life. Yes, certainly Charles deserves justice, but are you really getting justice for someone who can't even conceive of what they did was wrong?
Yeah, once again, we're back to how do you define justice? Because that's an interesting question, which is if the person doesn't know that what they're receiving is punishment or doesn't acknowledge that what they're going through is punishment,
Hmm.
then she could easily be viewing this as martyrdom,
Yeah.
honestly. um, then is the victim in the case actually receiving justice? It's an interesting philosophical question. So I think procedurally, we must continue to go down this road. We must continue to if her attorneys motion for a competency evaluation, we must go through that. If one of her attorneys asks for a criminal responsibility evaluation, that's a sanity evaluation. Then we must go through those procedures. We still have to do the proper policies and procedures that we have in place in order to have what we have decided as a society is justice. But the reality is that even if she's found guilty, it's probably going to be concurrent with the other case that she's going to be serving in Idaho. So it's not like she's going to be serving any really more time.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I don't know. I think we need to do it just as a procedure, but
Yeah.
I don't know that it gets us anywhere closer to understanding who she
I
is.
think it's one thing when it's an individual is pursued and you know that they are feeling it, they're just not going to show it. They're going to be very defiant, yet they feel their guilt. Lori doesn't seem to be like one of those people. It almost feels to me like this is you almost re-victimize the family by having to go through this process again for someone who, at the end of the day, is still going to truly believe, like we said, that she did nothing wrong. She's a martyr for this, and so I mean that almost I feel like it just like I said, it re-victimizes the family itself in this pursuit of justice. But yeah, what exactly is justice in something like this? Is justice at some point saying this person's hopeless? There's no way of getting to them. Let's all stop wasting our time on this. We can't bring our loved ones back, but we already got her in jail for the rest of her life, and move on. Other than we're just going to keep poking a stick at the mentally ill monkey here. I don't know, if that is justice or what the point of that even really is.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why victims in cases don't necessarily have the last word when it comes to whether or not the state is going to prosecute a crime. I think sometimes there are plenty of victims in the case that would say, no, I don't want to move this forward for various reasons as to why. But the state still has someone that has committed an offense against the laws of that state. And so prosecutors maybe take the victim's wishes in mind when it comes to how they're going to prosecute the case. But it's also the state that's been harmed. And sometimes we just need to follow the proper procedure when it comes to an offense occurring with of the laws in that state.
That's true. Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you want more of our interview with our guests, be sure to check out our podcast, Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Just search that wherever you download podcasts and press subscribe. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel for the full video version of the interviews as well, under the same name, Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Check it out, subscribe, binge, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.